live from the Wallace Family Homestead and City National Arena.
Juega de izquierda a derecha el equipo de los Vegas Golden Knights, rotando el puck a la parte trasera de la portería de Luka Jostal. Viene por él Pavel Dorofeyev en el costado izquierdo. Sigue Pavel, el disparo sin ángulo.
This is the VGK Insiders Show.
¡Gol!
With Daren Millard and Ryan Wallace.
El clavo último del ataúd. ¿Por dónde metió ese disparo Dorofeyev, Alejandro Romo?
On Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Welcome in, Vegas Golden Knights Insider Show, Fox Sports Las Vegas. Ryan Wallace, Daren Millard, Jared Justice hanging out with you for the next 2 hours. And the Golden Knights are Western Conference Final bound. How we doing, boys?
I'd say I'm pretty good today. Hard not to be on top of the world going to the third round, the conference final, whichever way you want to term that. They're going to this next stage for the fifth time in 9 years. Like, that doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And this year it feels even sweeter after all the grinding that they had to do, battling through injuries, the different challenges that were put before them, a late season coaching change, and now 20 games into John Tortorella's tenure as coach of the Vegas Golden Knights. The VGK are back into the Final Four of the Stanley Cup playoffs and will face the Colorado Avalanche in the Western Conference Final. They will play for a trophy and a banner in this next series. You got little mile markers you want to get to, but it's always cool when the next time out you're going to play for a banner and there's going to be a trophy awarded at the end of that series with the Campbell Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, you touch on it as mile markers, but this to me is where it becomes real, right? Like, everybody starts the playoffs with hope and aspirations. Everybody starts the playoffs dreaming about what it might look like to get to, the next stage. But now you're part of the Final Four. Now you've got you're halfway to the goal, but you've got the goal somewhat in sight. So it becomes very real that the opportunity
it wasn't real
to
before
win something
for you.
It is, but it isn't. Like, and it kind of brings up your point. Like, you're playing for something in this round, right? Like, you are playing for something tangible, something that you can reach out and grab, something that you can put in the rafters. And so, to me, the conference final is where it really does become or feel more real than it did in round number one or round
it
number
was
two.
It was always real. The first round is spectacular and it's such a battle, and it's on 3 times speed listening to a podcast. That's the way the first round always is, and you don't even have a chance to catch your breath. You're right into unless you go 4-0 like the Carolina Hurricanes have done, or 8-0. You very rarely get a chance to catch your breath and working along, and you're just hoping for that next game, buying yourself some more time before so you can get your game in order. And Vegas has done that in the first 2 rounds. Like that has felt real all the way along. But the part about playing for a trophy is just it's cool. It's not the trophy that you want to win. And there will always be discussions about touching that trophy, whether it's the Prince of Wales trophy or the Clarence Campbell Bowl. And I'd love to be into that discussion about whether or not the Vegas Golden Knights should do that at a later date in the third round against the Colorado Avalanche. But they have done a remarkable job in the last month and change. And going from a team that was struggling with their confidence and playing some good hockey, but were lacking that mojo, that swagger around their team. And you look at what the hockey operations has done. And there's a few decisions that come into this. Go back a year. And I'll just go, who are the people that are stirring the drink right now? You got Mitch Marner.
Yep.
You got Carter Hart.
Yep.
And you got John Tortorella. Now there's others, but those are the big 3 influencers on what's happening right now. Mitch Marner wasn't part of the organization a year ago at this time. Carter Hart wasn't part of the organization a year ago at this time. John Tortorella was not part of the organization a year ago at this time. They joined at different stops along the road. With Marner at free agency last year, with the trade from Toronto. Then you had the acquisition and signing of Carter Hart, and him being available, adding him to a team that had a Stanley Cup winning goaltender already in the fold. You added some depth. You created an environment where you had 2 number 1 goaltenders, and that's been needed. And then you made the challenging decision, difficult decision, to make a coaching change with 8 games to go, and all 3 of those decisions. So I think Hockey Ops does deserve a significant amount of credit for what's happening right now than I would say in other years, even in Vegas in other years. Just the fingerprints are all over what they've been able to do with the strong influences that Tortorella, with his guidance, and then the play of Carter Hart and Mitch Marner.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, right, under John Tortorella, the Golden Knights are 15-4-1.
Yeah.
So you can't argue with the results of John Tortorella. To be fair with Carter Hart, like, his numbers not quite 15-4-1, but they are 13-4-1 since returning from injury down the stretch and into the postseason. So again, can't argue with what Hart's done. And
those kind
Mitch
of go
Marner's
hand in hand, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And all Mitch Marner's done through 2 rounds of the playoffs is lead the playoffs in scoring with 7 goals, 18 points, and he was electric again last night. Like, those
and
players,
shed a label.
Yeah,
like put it into the shredder.
It's the coolest thing in the world to me when you get to watch a player author a change of the narrative, right? Like, and that's what Marner's done now through 2 rounds of the postseason. It's going to be the first time in his NHL career that he's going to play in a conference final, and every stop along the way, every opportunity to grow and be better, Marner has come through on the other side and been phenomenal. I cannot wait to see what he has in store for the conference final.
We will address the sanctions that were handed down by the National Hockey League today in response to the post-game events from last night after Game 6 of the series against the Anaheim Ducks. And I'm not walking away from that. I'm not burying it at all. I just think that the start of our show today should be about the accomplishment on the ice and what we're looking for in the future in this third round series. But we will address things that happened last night, and I've got a couple of opinions on some of the reporting that has taken place, and I know some people are listening. Some people are listening, and they're like, "What's he going to say about that now?" But we'll get into that later on in the show, and we will deal with it and give it its rightful time in this program on the Vegas Golden Knights Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas. But the big accomplishment, because the sanctions from the National Hockey League don't impact the here and the now. No. They don't will not influence. It's not a suspension. It's not an injury. It's nothing that's going to impact the on ice performance of the Vegas Golden Knights. So what they did in this series, you got a goalie win in the first victory.
Yep.
You had an incredibly impressive offensive outburst in the second win. Then you had one of those grinded-out performances when you lost one of your top defensemen a couple of minutes into the game. I had to deal with a 5-minute major, went with 5 defensemen, and allowed a late goal for Anaheim to tie it and force overtime. You just had to squeeze everything out of that game to get a victory. Mm-hmm. And then last night, Was that the best game that they played in the Stanley Cup playoffs? Well, the other one would be Game 6 against Utah. Yeah. Their 2 best games in the Stanley Cup playoffs have been when the opportunity, while on the road, presented itself to end the series. And Vegas stepped up with a absolute complete game.
Yeah, you're right on the money there. I mean, listen, the Golden Knights have played 2 tremendous games in the playoffs, and that's not to take anything away from the other 6 wins that they have so far through 2 rounds. But when they have needed to deliver their best game of the series, their best game of the playoffs to that point, it has come in an elimination game. It has come on the road, and it has essentially broken the will of their opponents in both rounds, Utah and Anaheim. I thought the Golden Knights were tremendous last night. Everything that I wanted to see going into the game, I got, and I got the answer about a minute and 2 seconds in for a Mitch Marner. So, yeah, the fact of the matter is the Golden Knights made it a no-doubter last night. They won that series playing their best hockey, and I think that that's something to be said about this team, that as the series goes on and the stakes get higher, the Golden Knights find their best game when it matters most.
Mitch Marner is a topic of a great story over on NHL.com. Again, we ran through all those stats that he's either leading the Stanley Cup playoffs in or he's tied. That continues with his incredible performance. But there's also just a breakdown on his postseason and that goal that he scored last night, and the puck went in the most sensational fashion, but it wasn't that he was trying to put forth an execution like he did on the breakaway and then going between the legs. It was simply that was the only way that he could get that puck into the net. It was like, as Alec Martinez said earlier today on 100% Hockey, and we walked through a little bit of the performance with John Shannon. It was like just reaching for the puck. If the pass is a little bit out of your stick length, you would do that. The only way he could get that puck to the net in that regard was to go through his legs, and it was like instinctual. That's the amazing part about it. Was it just happened. He didn't have time to plan that at all. It just happened, and I love the way he kicks at pucks, the way he approaches keeping pucks in. At times it looks like unorthodox. At other times it looks like that's really cool. There's different levels of it. He just does it. Last night was one of those plays.
Yeah, it really was. And, you look at kind of how the play starts. Shea Theodore makes a really good play along the wall to get the puck to William Karlsson, who just absolutely puts a phenomenal stretch pass on the tape of Mitch Marner. And then the finish is exceptional. The finish is tremendous. It shows his agility. It shows his edge work. It shows his ability to kind of be creative in the moment. And I don't know how Mitch in that moment realized what he was going to do, thought he was going to do. I don't know if that's just all talent and instinct. That's probably more like it. But you're right. Like, it wasn't a hot dog situation. It wasn't Mitch Marner trying to do something really cool. It's just the only way to finish the play was for Mitch Marner to do something really cool, and he did it.
So this is geeking out right now. I'm going to give you some data with this,
okay.
Because of at NHL Edge, this analytics that come out, and this is a great breakdown, but it takes a little bit of digesting into your brain to really let it soak in. So there's a projected goal rate, and that's fairly easy to comprehend. It's like a chance, and what's the projected probability that you're going to score from that opportunity. It's called PGR, projected goal rate, and it can range from 0, like if you send it down the ice on the goaltender and it happens to go on the net, basically an icing on the net. There's 0% that's going to go in, basically, or 0.11. You could always hit a bump, I guess, or you could get to 100%. But there's 100% would be an empty net and you're on a breakaway. That's 100%. But generally, like it's in the 20s to high 30s projected goal rate, because you're dealing with checkers, you're dealing with defensemen, you're dealing with goaltenders along the way. The projected goal rate of that play by Mitch Marner to give the Golden Knights that 1-0 lead last night was 41.6%. 7-3. So 42% was the projected goal rate. That's below 50%, but that's for a projected goal rate. That's really high. It was the highest probability of a goal or a shot attempt in that game last night. Was that spinorama between the legs play with Mitch Marner scoring on Lucas Dostal, and Dostal almost got it too.
Yeah.
He just missed that puck, but there was something about the play that it wasn't just come down the wing, clapper home, or a puck bounces in front and you get a good bounce and it gives you a 1-0 lead. That's not the way. It was a statement of all statements that the Vegas Golden Knights were ready to play last night, and you'd like it to happen. You can't plan for it to happen. And Mitch being able to buy time when he saw Shea Theodore get that puck that you alluded to, like Mitch's wheels were turning then. He didn't know that it was going to go to William Karlsson, but he saw that and thought, okay. Like when he broke it down after the game, that was impressive. That when he saw Shea Theodore get control of that puck, he started maneuvering his way for a potential stretch pass, and William Karlsson was able to hit it for him. So 42% projected goal rate on that play. I know it's nerding out, but that's a really high number from the Stanley Cup playoffs leading point producer.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to nerd on a goal, that's the right one to nerd out on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was so good. It was amazing. And to your point, like, it was a statement, right? It was a statement a minute into a game where you know that Anaheim should be desperate for the Golden Knights to wrestle, to just take the lead away that early. And then they followed it up with just tremendous play, right? Then they get another shorthanded goal, Marner to Howden, another really good play inside the zone from Mitch Marner to set that up. And, you know, the Golden Knights just kind of took everything away from the Anaheim Ducks in the first period. It was amazing.
Vegas Golden Knights were able to comfortably bring that game home. I know Anaheim made a push during the game, but there was different aspects. The shorthanded scenario, that story continues. Brett Howden has equaled the National Hockey League record for most shorthanded goals in a postseason with 3. Mm-hmm. And we know he's got another series ahead of him. I don't like they didn't do a lot of that this year. Like
no.
the shorthanded goal thing. So I don't know what the shelf life is on this right now, but I know those two guys in particular have something. And they let's look at Colorado's power play was not where you would expect a team that was as dominant as the Avalanche were this year to be. Was the Avalanche power play was the outlier to their success. It was the one thing where you go, what, if they ever got that going, how dangerous would they be, right?
Right.
So if you can now have them talking as much about the Golden Knights penalty kill and the strategy to take advantage of a 5-on-4, and then throw in, but you got to be careful. Marner and Howden will take it. If they get a chance, they're going to go. And they've already had great success. If you can put that in their mind, which now they've done, it should give a different feel to the power play. I'm still leery, even though the numbers are the numbers for that Colorado power play this whole regular season and playoffs.
Yeah,
I'm still leery because they've got so much talent. But if you can put a little doubt in their head or have them be a little more cautious, then I think I know it works to the Golden Knights' advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, you look at Vegas, and to this point now in the playoffs, they've only surrendered 5 power play goals against, and they've scored 4 shorthanded goals. So they're just a -1 in terms of goal differential. 2 series in, that's pretty remarkable, especially, you know, again, considering where Anaheim's power play was, just confidence-wise coming into the series. I thought the Golden Knights did a tremendous job in that regard. But, yeah, to your point, right, like, you're looking for any advantage you can get in any type of series. The Golden Knights penalty kill, special teams really for Vegas all postseason long to this point has been very, very solid. If you can
score a power play goal every night.
Yeah, I know, and you're right. Like it has come along to the point where power play is making a difference. Penalty kill has been tremendous, and if you can win special teams in a series, you give yourself a good chance to win it.
Keep track of this, okay? Check it off. Points, primary assists, shorthanded points, multi-point games, 3-point games, 4-point games, game-winning goals, hat tricks, road goals. Those 9 categories, Mitch Marner either leads outright or is tied for the National Hockey League best numbers. And road goals is interesting because he did a lot of his scoring at home this year. And that's always a weird stat, road goals versus home goals. I don't think that there's a huge difference in where guys score. I don't think it matters to them, but it's flipped in that regard. So incredible performance by Mitch Marner. We continue to digest what was a 4-2 victory in the second round over the Anaheim Ducks, and we'll also look at what else is happening in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So when the Vegas Golden Knights will start, we know that, but the Eastern Conference Final could kick off a little earlier. We'll explain the schedule for you as we continue on Fox Sports Las Vegas. This is the VGK Insider Show.
This is the VGK Insiders Show with Daren Millard and Ryan Wallace.
Slowed in the trapezoid by Dostal, but Dorofeev gets to it first, and he scores. He comes from below the goal line from a bad angle, just put it on net, and he beats Dostal 5-hole. It's 5-1.
On Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Here's the deal on that goal. And this is a little bit like inside hockey.
Okay.
Daren Millard along with Ryan Wallace, Jared Justice. We've got the VGK Insider Show. The Golden Knights off to the third round, to the Western Conference Final. The Vegas Golden Knights have won more series, more playoff games than anybody else since entering the National Hockey League. So they continue to pile up the accolades. But that Dorofeev goal last night, I'll tell you, when a goaltender gives up a bad goal, or when a goaltender would like to play it differently,
Sure.
that was not on Lucas Dostal, and they're not going to like me for this, but the manufacturer of that gear,
Okay.
There's just a minor issue with the pad during that save selection. And I know that because I don't know whether you remember earlier this year, but Akira Schmidt in a home game had a puck slide right under his pad in an RVH safe selection that he was ready for. He was down and made the proper choice, and somehow the pad rolled up and the puck slipped through, and he couldn't figure out how it went in because he did everything right. And Dostal on that safe selection, it was the exact same thing. I sent somebody a note. My goalie guru buddy, Kevin Woodley, said it happened again. And he looked at it and said exactly the same thing. So it's strange that the technology is so amazing right now. But there's that one little thing with that manufacturer, with that brand, that's causing those pads in that just weird moment where you're leaning into an RVH where it's a easy save. It's a no-brainer save, and somehow that puck slid underneath. But not to take away from Pavel Dorofeev. What's the T-shirt? When he scores 1, he scores 5.
He scores 5. Yeah, that's a good one.
And now
a design.
Pavel Dorofeev, it's not quite, well, the one goal was taken off the board, but he's got 9. So with the one that was taken off the board, you get 1, you get 5. And with Howden and Marner and what we saw from storyline of Coughlin joining the series late, and Jack Eichel just quietly racking up points, overcoming injuries, all these different angles that we've got in this playoff run for the Vegas Golden Knights. Pavel Dorofeev walked into this Stanley Cup postseason with 1 playoff goal.
Yeah.
He's got 9. So the Marner story, erasing a narrative there or changing the narrative from his previous employer, is very similar to what Pavel Dorofeev has done.
Yeah, you look at this postseason for Pavel, like this is the most that he's played in the postseason as well, right? Like he battled through some injury last year, and that kind of limited obviously his ability to put points on the board, numbers on the board. But yeah, I mean, listen, he is a goal scorer. He has made himself into a tremendous goal scorer in the regular season in the National Hockey League. Incredibly consistent in that, he's got back-to-back 35-goal seasons. That tremendous, right? And the only thing that was kind of left on the ledger for Pavel was putting that success to the postseason. And he scores 5 goals over the final 3 games in this series, finishes with 7 points in 6 games in the second round. Like, he's tremendous, and gets the overtime game winner in Game 5. It's a massive goal, but I still contend that what he was able to do in that game, from blocking a shot, from missing time, to coming back and being the hero, just a great series for Pavel Dorofeev overall.
So 37 goals in the regular season, 9 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Hey, he's pushing a 50-goal campaign right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
he's got 46 goals,
right,
regular season and playoffs combined. Second most in a single winter with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Sure, and the reality is, right, like you can pencil him in for 5 goals here, because you're right, when he scores 5, quite literally in this series. When he got his first, he scored 5.
Now he's going to have to start again, right?
Exactly.
Whenever he scored, let's hope he gets on the board early against the Colorado Avalanche. You put out a great text today. It piggybacked off of what the conversation we had was in the first round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, we kind of touched on it at the end of the first round. The Conn Smythe leaderboard for the Golden Knights through the first series against the Utah Mammoth. We ranked players 1 through 4 to kind of give an idea of who we thought were the MVPs in the first round matchup against Utah. And I essentially asked for the same thing here in round number 2. It's up to the listeners of the VGK Insider Show on the text line, 702-876-1340, to give us their thoughts, but rank top 4 players for the Golden Knights, 1 through 4 in this series, as to who you think was the MVP. 1 obviously being the person you give your first place votes to, and 4 being the person that you would give fourth place votes to. But we got a ton of reaction here on the text line, and I do wonder, going through some of it, if it's ranking both series, but I'm talking about just this series.
There'll be some bleed over.
Specifically, yeah, 100%. Now, Ben, just because he's first on my list right here when it comes to the text line, his number 1 is Mitch Marner. His number 2 is Shea Theodore. His 3 is Pavel Dorofeev. And his 4 is Brett Howden. So, any thoughts on that?
I think you could include all 4 of those. Tough to argue any of those 4. There's other guys that you can put in, but like Mitch Marner's leading the Stanley Cup playoffs in point production. Shea Theodore was leaned on heavily in the back end of that series when Braden McNabb virtually didn't play Game 5 or 6.
Sure.
I think that there's Brett Howden has been spectacular. At one point last night was leading the Stanley Cup playoffs in goals. So I don't have an issue with that. There's other players that I might include in mine, but that's a pretty good starting point.
Okay, Tim says Marner, Hart, Carlson, and Anderson. So I'm guessing it's 1 through 4. So 1 Marner, 2 Carter Hart, 3 William Karlsson, 4 Rasmus Anderson. Tim says the first 2 are self-explanatory. Karlsson because he missed 6 months, but it was like he didn't miss a beat. And Anderson because he shored up the D and made sure the Golden Knights didn't miss Braden McNabb too much.
Mm-hmm. Anderson, I thought got better as the series went on. That pairing in particular really stepped up the last two games in the same fashion that I would describe the play of Shea Theodore. Not sure Anderson will be in my top four, but certainly from Game 5, I thought he was fantastic. Like, he was all over the place. Really, that pairing, I was waiting for that pairing to establish and put their fingerprint on the series. I thought they did in game number 5.
Donald says, number 1, Carter Hart. He's a superstar saver. Number 2, Pavel Dorofeev hits the goals just at the right time. 3rd on his list, Mitch Marner. We all know why. And 4, Howden for goals, goals, goals.
Mm-hmm. Again, pretty similar theme there. Carter Hart being put in the mix on that. I saw Ron say Marner, Dorofeev, Hart, and Eichel in that order. And again, the way that we're doing this is we're picking from every round, and you get 4 points for a first place submission, and 3 points for a second place, and then 2 and 1, and the person with the most points at the end, if the Vegas Golden Knights are able to go all the way, that will give us a statistically based Conn Smythe win. Being able to evaluate all 4 rounds individually.
Yeah, we're leaning into more data than the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's great.
No, impossible. Take that back.
All right.
That's impossible.
Okay, that's fine. That's fair. Rachel says Marner goal of the playoffs, and he contributes everywhere. 2, Hart stole game 1, kept Vegas in almost every game. 3, Dorofeev. One of the bigger criticisms I've seen of Vegas this postseason is lack of scoring. Dorofeev puts the puck in the net. And 4, Theodore locked it down while Braden McNabb was out of the lineup.
One of the bigger stories from the second round will not factor into what we're talking about right now with your top 4 performers in the series win over Anaheim. But that play, the emergence of the third line with Tomas Hertl scoring, and then the adjustment with Sissons going up, and the sort of writing of the minutes. The minutes started falling into place that reflected the order of the lines for the first round and into the second round. The fourth line was actually getting more minutes than the Hertl line. That changed in the back half of this the victory over the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, I touched on it. I touched on it after Game 5 in post game because I thought that was a really strong performance, and that was the game where Torts made the switch. Right, that was the game where you had Colton Sissons up with Tomas Hertl and Brandon Saad. Hertl scores in consecutive games, and it just felt like they were contributing the type of minutes that they needed to for this team to find success. And to your point, now you've got 4 lines that you feel pretty comfortable with. I thought, again, Hertl alongside Sissons and Saad did a lot of really good things in the offensive zone, held on to pucks. They were hard to play against, and it complemented what the Golden Knights had at the top of their lineup with Eichel alongside Dorofeev and Barbashev. And the best line, in my opinion, throughout this series against the Ducks, Howden, Karlsson, Marner.
And then you've got Jack Eichel. Like,
Yeah.
we haven't mentioned or heard Jack Eichel brought up in this conversation. And what did Jack Eichel do during the course of this series? Put up a lot of points. It was +2 last night in the clincher. He had 2 points in Game 5, 2 points in Game 4, and had assists in each of games 3 and 2. Like he had points in 4 of the 6 games, and that's where I get to the fact that you might have some spillover from round 1 because you look at the points and you'll put Jack Eichel in there, and I think Jack also deserves to be in the conversation just based on his point total in the series, not scoring, but the point totals are magnificent.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Jack has been tremendous, and I would argue that the value for me for Jack in this series is beyond the point production, even though it was very, very good. Like, there were big moments where you needed a play, and Jack Eichel delivered. I'm thinking Pavel Dorofeyev game winner in overtime. I'm thinking about, Jack Eichel just doing the little things night in and night out to make it uncomfortable for everybody else on the ice. Like, Jack Eichel was really good in this series. Now, is it as flashy as Mitch Marner and the stat line for Marner, 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points in 6 games in this series? No, it isn't. But you don't get past the Anaheim Ducks the way the Golden Knights did without Jack Eichel being an absolute force on both sides of the puck.
So you had 6 points in 6 games for Jack Eichel, who now is the second highest point producer in the Stanley Cup playoffs, behind Mitch Marner. 18 for Marner, 15 for Eichel. He's tied with 2 others, but those guys are both out, and Kaprizov and Hughes. And Nathan McKinnon is next highest. He's got 13 points. But Eichel, in reading some of these submissions, and thank you, people. This is awesome. The interaction from our audience here on the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas. It's incredible to see the interaction. But you see how it can change as the playoffs go on. And why I wanted to experiment with this, and there's a lot of reasons why I want the Vegas Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup and go to the Stanley Cup final. But this is a pretty cool exercise when you're doing it round by round and then putting together a total for points that you accumulated in your top 4 in each individual round to see where it differs, or does it reflect what the eventual outcome will be.
Yeah, it is an interesting thought experiment, right? Because, I think that, and we touched on it the last time that we had this conversation surrounding MVP, Conn Smythe, all of it. Like, generally speaking, you are swayed by what happens in the Stanley Cup final, or at least that's the feeling. It's hard to remember.
And there should be some recency bias in that, but
100%.
But I think it gets over leaned on.
Yeah, for sure, because it's hard sometimes to remember what happened 2 months ago. It's hard to remember what that first round series was actually like, where the pressure points were, who came through in those big moments, right? And so when you look at round 1 against Utah, Mitch Marner had a tremendous closeout game, in the same way that he had a tremendous closeout game against the Anaheim Ducks. And if you don't do it in real time, if you don't do it in the moment, you'll forget some of those different nuances of each individual series, and when there were moments or opportunities for big plays, big moments, and big players to step up into those roles. So the idea for me right now through 2 rounds is that I'd have Mitch Marner at the top of my ballot, right? Like, if I had a vote, it would be Mitch Marner number 1 and everyone else for the Golden Knights number 2. But, that's just kind of viewing it through the first 2 rounds, and certainly through this second round victory over the Anaheim Ducks.
Okay, can you say that again? You're taking Marner and then everybody else?
Well, I'm taking Marner as my number 1, is what I mean. Like, okay. Right now, if you were to tell me through 2 rounds who the MVP for the Golden Knights is, it'd be Mitch Marner, in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, that works. Yeah. But I do want your top 4 from the second round. As we continue, not right now, but okay. as we continue on through this show, and we will get into the sanctions that were handed down by the National Hockey League. We'll address that as we continue in the VGK Insider Show. A great text coming in from Jess. Number 1, okay. This is her Jess' top 4. Okay. Number 1 is Jared, makes the show work. Number 2 is Ryan, the guy's always working. 3 is Chapman, still getting hit by strays despite being gone for a year. And 4 is John Shannon, always going after Mallard. Good on you. Like that, Jess. A little outside the box thinking, and including Chapman in that. That's Chapman ranking 3 is higher than he would rank if he was actually here doing the show.
I'm I'm just grateful.
He's more valuable in absence than he is if he was here.
Yeah, it's addition by subtraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the saying. I'm just glad that I am ahead of Chapman. I understand being behind Jared, like totally get that, but I'd have been really sad if I was 3 and Chapman was 2. That wouldn't have sat right with me.
Second hour coming up on the VGK Insider Show. We'll tee it up next as we continue on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
You're listening to the VGK Insider Show.
Got one-timers, news notes from around the National Hockey League coming up in hour number 2. The World Hockey Championships are underway. Team USA defending its world title that they won a year ago, and so that is something that we will keep track of. Opportunity there to further entrench their dominance right now with USA Hockey on the world stage, and we'll also give you an idea of a couple of players that are making their mark on that. The Vancouver Canucks had an unveiling today. We'll tell you about that and a little bit about the Oilers and the Nashville Predators and the searches that are ongoing there. One's for a general manager, one's for a coach. It's funny, that Nashville thing, like it's like it's not active. The amount of attention and reporting that is happening on the search for a new general manager in Nashville is one of the quietest, underreported situations I've ever seen in the National Hockey League in my 30-plus years covering the National Hockey League.
I feel like with the Predators specifically, it's been going on for 2.5, 3 months, and yet there's not much actually happening. So, good.
And I know that there's they've interviewed a bunch of people, and I'm aware of several of the names that are in contention for that job. But it's kind of eerie that so many other things are happening, and that's just like ticking along. Like I thought it took a while for the Canucks to be able to settle on Ryan Johnson and taking over that job with the Sedins as co-presidents. I expected that to be done further along than it did, especially when you're competing with other teams for different people. Not all the same names were in each individual job, but you'd expect that there'd be a little more. Oh, let's get this thing done with the draft in what we're talking 6 weeks. Yeah,
6 weeks. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that there would be more urgency just to kind of get things in place so that you have your team ready to go for the draft, because it's important, right? Like it's a big piece for a team like Nashville. And yeah, do you have a sense that it's close? Like, do you have a sense that Nashville is going to name a new GM soon? Relatively soon?
Yes, okay. Relatively before the draft. But they also have Barry's there, so they've got their lists, and you would like, if somebody's going to make a decision on say you're down to 3 players. You'd like the guy that's going to be in charge for the next number of years to be the guy that would make the decision on that. Now, can you do a draft without the next general manager being in place? Absolutely. I trust Barry Trotz. I trust his staff. But I just think for the overall future of the team, you'd like the person who's going to be running it, who's going to be steering it, to be behind the wheel at the draft.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me because, again, it's a press release that goes out saying that looking for a new GM, Barry's going to remain until we find a new GM, and it just seems like nothing's happened since then. So I don't know. We'll see.
A lot of interviews. Nick Saban's part of that one, too, by the way. I don't know how. I get mixed reports on how heavily involved or involved he is. Obviously, college football legend. Tell you about when the Eastern Conference final could start. Got to finish up with the series, Buffalo-Montreal. A step closer to that. We'll have that for you in the second hour of the VGK Insider Show. And we'll get to one-timers, news notes from around the National Hockey League, and more on the VGK advancing to the Western Conference Final on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Live from the Wallace Family Homestead and City National Arena.
Marner to Howden. They've done it again. Marner to Howden shorthanded. 2-0 Golden Knights.
This is the VGK Insiders Show.
Hurdle wins the draw. Left point Theodore. He closes. He shoots. He scores. 3-0 Vegas.
With Daren Millard and Ryan Wallace.
John Carlson trying to bank it out. Barbashev cut it off. In front of drive. They score. It's Dorothea. An insurance goal.
On Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Dorothea threw it on goal. And he scores. From a terrible angle at the right corner.
Just letting that bounce a little bit. Give you that club feel. VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas. There's like pounding in my headset too. Felt really good. The old Night of the Roxbury Saturday Night Live skit. That was
pumping your fist.
It was coming back to me right now. There are some great bench celebrations in the Stanley Cup playoffs from the Vegas Golden Knights as well. Saw one, Johnny Stevens, a double fist bump the other night after they won in overtime. We had Alec Martinez on 100% Hockey today, and we were going back and forth about different sellies, and you know that Marty's got the AM Rewind where he breaks down different goals, and he was torn. He whether he does a bunch of plays from Mitch Marner last night, or he goes all in on the goal. And as like, it's a hard decision, but the goal was so spectacular because so much of it was set up by what happened in their own end.
What is love?
There you are, Night of the Roxbury.
Don't hurt me no more.
Great. Who are the guys in this skit? They just started head bobbing.
Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan.
Yes.
Yeah. I know I got one of them.
So good. You just start like bopping your head right now. I got the shoulders going, everything.
What are you doing with your shoulders?
You just rolling them, man. Rolling them back and forth.
Shoulders.
Got the head bobbing. I got some of the hairs dripping down out of the flip over. I'm feeling good right now. Night of the Roxbury. Good job, Jared. I enjoyed that.
I thought Jared was going to say something.
No, he's moving on right now. I bet you he's planning on something else now. That'll pop in
fixing
in just
the
a
app.
little bit. Oh, he's fixing the app. That's good. And we're getting your correspondence, people texting in because we had the delay on because we were going to take calls, but then I got long-winded and Ryan distracted me. So
yes, I did.
But so we heard you about the commercials playing in the app, and Jared has the IT department on hold right now. He's unplugged it and he's plugged it back in 3 times, but it's still not working.
Believe it didn't fix.
So he's considering just deleting it and reinstalling it, and that usually does work its way around. So we get this running tally right now from the listeners about who are your top 4 performers based on the second round. Mm-hmm. And if number 1, you get 4 points, and we did this in the first round. We've got that total there, and then we'll add up a total for the second round, and then third round, and hopefully the fourth round, and that will give us the Conn Smythe win of the playoff MVP. So we've heard from the people. I think it's up to us to also offer up our top 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 best performers from the second round, and we're keeping it to the second round. What you did in the first round was great. We are not going to. There's some spillover in some of the listeners. We are not going to allow any spillover. This is strictly the performance against the Anaheim Ducks. Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right. I'll start with my number one, and it'll come as no surprise to anybody who listened to the show already. It's Mitch Marner. He scored 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points in 6 games against the Anaheim Ducks. He got his first career playoff hat trick in game number 3. We talked about the ridiculous goal that he scores in game number 6 to get things started for the Golden Knights, set the tone that way, and then added another shorthanded point to his ledger as well, setting up Brett Howden and his shorthanded goal. So another tremendous performance from Mitch Marner in a closeout game. He really did take the series over, and as far as skaters go, I think Marner was the best in the series on either side of the ledger, so he's number one for me.
All right. I want you to go through them, and then
that's fine. Okay.
And then I'll offer up mine. Mine are all written down, so you're not going to. Okay. I'm not going to try to match you or try to one up you in any form tonight.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, so number 2 for me is going to be Pavel Dorofeev. Again, 5 goals, 2 assists, 7 points in 6 games. So incredibly productive series for Pavel Dorofeev. He had goals in 3 straight games to close out the series, including multi-goal games in both games 5 and 6. First career playoff overtime goal in game number 5, and it was a massive one for the Golden Knights, especially given the context of what Dorofeev battled through in that game, blocking a shot, leaving the ice, not playing for the majority of the second period, coming back, giving you something in the third, and then winning it in overtime. Great stuff there from Pavel. I do covet goals, so Dorofeev is my number 2. My number 3 is Brett Howden. Again, 4 goals, 5 points in 6 games in this series. He had the game winner to close out the series. And, I already touched on it in the show, but the best line for me, consistency, game over game, was Howden, Carlson, and Marner. Like, they were absolutely dominant. And so I have a hard time going against, Brett Howden in this spot. He's had big moments. He also helped set the tone in game number 6 to close things out. So I like Howden number 3. And then, number 4 is very much series specific, and it's Shea Theodore. 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points in 6 games for Theodore, but it's what he did in games 5 and 6, largely without Braden McNabb, that really does move the needle for me in the series. And plus minus is never really the best stat to kind of glean everything from, but he was a +7 in the series, including +4 over the final 2 games, and that was all without Braden McNabb. He had a multi-point performance in the closeout game in game number 6, again without Braden McNabb. I think Shea Theodore was tremendous in the entire series, and for that reason, I've got Shea Theodore 4. So to recap, Mitch Marner number 1, Pavel Dorofeev number 2, Brett Howden number 3, and Shea Theodore number 4.
Yeah, I don't think that you can argue too much with that because of the performances from Shea Theodore defensively and logging minutes and contributing goals, offense. He scored in the series a couple of times as well. I will go in a slightly different direction, although the top half is pretty easy. In Mitch Marner and Pavel Dorofeev 1-2, and I'll go Mitch 1, so he gets my 4 points from the Anaheim Ducks series, and Pavel Dorofeev just being able to continue the goal scoring contribution. There's some he's a streaky player, but he was really good in both series, which has been super impressive from a Dorofeev standpoint. You're not in and then out for a couple of games. He's done a lot, and what I loved about him is his puck retrieval. The goal that he scored in Game 5, just to steal it and then make sure that he was able to finish off that play on the power play was fantastic, and I'm a massive fan of what he does on the boards and his ability to hold on to pucks, But that was a new wrinkle to his game, to be able to track down a puck and make sure that Anaheim didn't get possession of it. So Marner, number one, Pavel Dorofeev, number two from the series against the Anaheim Ducks. Then I went with Carter Hart. And Carter Hart, I think, was more valuable against Anaheim than he was against Utah, and he was pretty darn impressive in the 6-game series against the Utah Mammoth. And I'm just going to run through some of the numbers from a goaltending perspective in this series against the Anaheim Ducks. It was a goalie win in game number 1. And he allowed one goal, save percentage. Normally I don't like this, going save percentage in individual games. Because I see it at junior hockey, and it's too much. But in this case, it does fuel my argument and support my argument a lot. But he allowed one goal in game number 1, 2 goals in game 2 loss, and 2 goals against in a game 3 win. But you've got 2 goals or less in the first 3 games. Save percentage of .971, .926, and .939. That's above average by a lot. Like he's pushing the pace on that. There's a run of allowing 2 goals or less in 4 straight games that ended in game 4 against the Anaheim Ducks, which he allowed 4. But that was a blip. It turned out to be exactly that, just the exception to his performance. He came back with allowing 2 goals in game 5, 1 goal in the series clincher, and save percentage of .944, .969. So in 5 of the 6 games, he was well over 900 save percentage, with save percentage of .971, .926, .939, .944, .969. That's elite goaltending at any point, but in particular in the Stanley Cup playoffs, major factor, and faced a lot of shots. Faced 32 last night, 36 in the overtime win in game number 5, 33. And 34 in wins in game 1 and game 3. So he faced 30 or more shots in all 4 of his wins in that series. So I'm making a case. It almost sounds like he should be higher, but what Mitch Marner and Pavel Dorofeev did offensively was so impressive, and Pavel Dorofeev leading the Stanley Cup playoffs in total goals, along with another spectacular series, keeps him slightly just on that higher level for me. And then I'll put Shea Theodore in. I really wanted to go Brett Howden, but the minutes that Shea Theodore contributed in that Anaheim series, especially in the back half, you mentioned plus minus. It's a stat that can be spun, certainly a stat that gets too much weight on the negative side, because it's such a circumstantial play. Like a puck goes the wrong way, and you might have nothing to do with the goal against or the goal scored, but you get a plus. And my good friend Colin Patterson, who played for the Calgary Flames way back in the day, he said his primary goal was to be the last man into the. If he didn't score the goal, he was the last guy into the celebration, the huddle, the hug, and he always made sure his back was towards the press box, so the scorekeeper would know that he was on the ice for that goal, so he could get a plus. So that's always stuck with me in the influence of plus minus. But in the back half of this series, Shea Theodore was +3, +1, +1, +3 in the clincher. Scored a couple of goals and put up some pretty good offense while playing 25, 24, 21, 24, 30, and 25. A lot of minutes. And the last 2 games, crucial minutes. on that. So I'll give him the slight nod as long as everybody promises not to tell Brett Howden about that.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll let Brett know that he was in my top 4. And to be fair, like if we expanded it to 5,
Yeah.
5 for me would have been Carter Hart, and you mentioned that you wanted to put Brett Howden in there. So I think we're pretty much in agreement, more or less, of the 5 players that had their fingerprints all over this series for the Golden Knights. And the beautiful thing about it is we start anew, right? We start anew in the Western Conference Final, and it's an opportunity for someone else to kind of put their name in the hat when it comes to the Conn Smythe series lead here against Colorado.
Sonia texts in number 1, Carter Hart. Number 2, Howdy. Number 3, Pavel Dorofeev. And number 4, Shea Theodore. Again, we're seeing a similar list of names.
Yeah.
But I didn't have Jack Eichel on my list. And I feel I've like that's wrong. It's wrong that Jack Eichel, the second leading point producer in the Stanley Cup playoffs, wasn't in my top 4, despite putting up significant performance, a point per game during the series.
Yeah, you're right. And again, I think it kind of speaks to the performances from Marner and Dorofeev and Shea Theodore and Carter Hart and Brett Howden and what they were able to do in that series, that you can have Jack Eichel point per game in the series and you're not putting Jack as your number 1 or number 2. And that's the beauty of the Golden Knights, right? Like, they can have a different hero for a game or a couple of games or a handful of games or an entire series, and that's just kind of the way that they're built.
Other submissions coming in here. Larry says Carter Hart, Mitch Marner, Pavel Dorofeev, Brett Howden. We got Mike, Marner, Hart, Eichel, Karlsson. And Karlsson, the point total is not there, but him stepping into the series was a major influence on the Golden Knights' overall game. And then the numbers started to come, and if you're talking about somebody that tilted the ice, William Karlsson should be mentioned in that because of the impactful minutes that he skates in.
Yeah, it's interesting because I look at the series and you're never in a position to play without Mark Stone. But I feel like because you had William Karlsson back in the fold, you were in a better position to mitigate that than if Karlsson wasn't in your lineup. So it was definitely fortuitous for the Golden Knights that Karlsson was healthy and ready to go for round number 2. Not an easy thing to deal with, the loss of their captain for the back half of that series due to an injury. But, Karlsson, it didn't take him long to get up to nearly 20 minutes a game. It didn't take him long to find chemistry with Mitch Marner and Brett Howden, and it didn't take that line long to kind of imprint themselves on the series. And, yeah, to your point, like William Karlsson did a lot of really good things for the Golden Knights, made a lot of really smart plays for Vegas, controlled play for long stretches in games, and his line was a big difference maker in the series.
So write those down, keep track of those, and then we'll add to it after this Western Conference Final against the Colorado Avalanche. The Vegas Golden Knights, it should not be forgotten, got through this series. Braden McNabb was suspended last night, didn't play outside of a couple of minutes in the last 2 games.
Yeah,
Jeremy Lauzon was injured the entire series. Not sure of the timeline there. We haven't seen Mark Stone. Don't know the timeline there. You're missing 2 of your 6 defensemen and your captain. That's a. I mean, is it a major factor? Well, they won. They won in 6 games. You tend to overlook the impact of those players. If Vegas hadn't won, I would be talking about that as a significant
for sure
influence on the series. they found a way to get by the Anaheim Ducks without three really key players. The physical element of Lauzon and McNabb for that factor, but the penalty killing side of it as well, and then Mark Stone and his just overall being captain, the energy that he brings, and the contribution on the ice. So did you overcame a significant challenge in this series that should be obviously alluded to?
100%. I mean, it wasn't easy. Like, it wasn't easy for the Golden Knights, especially the back, the Game 5, Game 6 situation that they found themselves in, right? Like, I mean, Game 5, you lose Braden McNabb 9 minutes into the game, and you go to overtime with 5 defensemen, and you had to kind of work through that. You had to find a way to kill off a 5-minute major, or the majority of a 5-minute major. They only allow a goal. They're able to get one right back with their power play thanks to Pavel Dorofeev. Like, that was a gutsy performance without Braden McNabb, without Mark Stone, without Jeremy Lauzon. And then you go on the road into Anaheim. You've got Caden Korzak back in the lineup. Shea Theodore moves from the right to the left. Dylan Coughlin, who came in the middle of the series and played some really solid minutes, paired up with Shea Theodore. And you get the job done again without your best defensive defenseman, without your captain, the emotional leader of this team, and an incredibly physical presence that's important to playoff success and playoff hockey in Jeremy Lauzon. Like, the fact that the Golden Knights were able to close out this series in 6, that they were able to win back-to-back games to close it out without those players in the lineup, volumes to the character of the team. It just does.
I promised I would offer a thought on the sanctions from the National Hockey League towards the Vegas Golden Knights today in response to the post-game events last night. We will do that next in One-Timers. News notes from around the National Hockey League coming up on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Carlson left corner, centered, one-timer, score!
It's time for One-Timers. A quick look at news and notes from around the National Hockey League. Brought to you by Paul Pata Law. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
Vegas Golden Knights get past the Anaheim Ducks in convincing fashion last night in Game 6 of that second-round Western Conference Series. Win it 4-2, and will now take on the Colorado Avalanche in the Western Conference Final. That will start on Wednesday in Denver. Games 1 and 2 in Denver. The President's Trophy winning Avalanche have home ice advantage there, so it's the first time in the 3 series that the Golden Knights will start on the road. Familiar playoff foe for the Vegas Golden Knights. I know Edmonton's kind of taken over as the rival, but there's been some interesting collisions in the past between these two teams that we'll see in the Western Final.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm excited for it. I am incredibly excited for Vegas, Colorado. The Avalanche, they won the President's Trophy. They are, the best team in the regular season for a reason. And for the Golden Knights, they were the best team in the Pacific. So it's only fitting that the top 2 seeds in the Western Conference by division meet in the Western Conference Final. And I think it's going to be really fun. I really do.
We'll see whether we get 4 number 1 seeds in the conference finals. That will require the Buffalo Sabres coming back and beating the Montreal Canadiens. When we went off the air yesterday, we were talking about the wild first period between the Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens and how Buffalo had scored on 3 of the first 4 shots. That's all they would get.
Yes.
And Montreal rallied back and won that hockey game, and they were discussing why Montreal didn't make a goalie change when it seemed so obvious. And Marty St. Louis said they talked to the goalie coach upstairs, and they said, no, leave him in. And it ended up being the right choice. I don't know. That was one of those, 9 out of 10 moments where you're making a goalie change. It was that obvious that you should do something, and Montreal stuck with Dolbish, and they got the win, and now they lead at 3-2, going home with a chance to advance to the Eastern Conference Final and arrange a date against Carolina.
Yeah, it's really funny because, like you mentioned it, right? They scored 3 goals on their first 4 shots. It's rare that you're going to not make a goalie change in that spot, considering how pivotal the game was. But it's also rare for the goaltender.
Like any game, spot. I don't care if it's a preseason game, regular season game, or playoff game. You're making a goalie change there.
For sure, but it's Game 5 on the road. Like, there's a lot going into it. There's a lot riding on the outcome of it. It because of that context, you would almost make it 10 out of 10, right? Like you said, it's 9 out of 10. You make a goalie change. Given the context of the situation, no, it's 10 out of 10. Like, you're getting your other guy in there. But then it's even more rare that goaltender goes on to have an above 900 save percentage in the same game. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Good on Dobish. Good on Dobish.
National Hockey League coming out today, and this is in reaction to what happened last night after the Golden Knights' victory over the Anaheim Ducks. The NHL has fined the head coach, John Tortorella, $100,000, and they have forced the Golden Knights to forfeit their 2026 second-round draft pick at this year's National Hockey League draft. The National Hockey League is holding open the opportunity for the Vegas Golden Knights to appeal that ruling, and that appeal will be held before the start of the third round. The sanctions were imposed after the Vegas Golden Knights, John Tortorella, did not speak to the media last night, and the one player, Shea Theodore, was made available outside the locker room. Now, there was 3 players that spoke last night: Mitch Marner, Brett Howden, Shea Theodore. At times, because of the situation with locker rooms on the road, media availability is not held in the actual room. It's held in the hallway. Because of if it's a regular season game, it's easier because there's not as much media. You get into the second round of the playoffs, there's more media. It gets a little jammed up, so you do it in a place that's more accessible. That's the way I read it last night with Shea Theodore. The media did get 3 significant players, but we're not granted the opportunity to speak to John Tortorella. I've read different reporting on this, some local, some national, some crossing the border into Canada. I'm a little disappointed, to be quite honest, in some of it, because some of the takes that have been lobbied out there just aren't accurate, and this situation did not have anything to do with the Braden McNabb suspension.
Yeah.
I can fully say I'm confident in offering that positioning, just from different things that I'm aware of. Now, I'm not on the inside, and I'll be upfront with everybody. There's some things I can't tell you on this show on a night-to-night basis. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to lie to you, all right? And John Tortorella, it was a great statement that he made when he came here, sort of along the same thing. He's not going to volunteer everything, but he said he's not going to just lead you down a different path. I'm the same way. I will not lie to you, Ryan, or our listeners, but there are certain things that I have known in the past that I haven't volunteered, or sure. I wasn't going to offer up to you. That's just my position as a VGK employee. As far as this whole narrative that the Golden Knights were mad that Braden McNabb was suspended and thus John Tortorella didn't talk last night, it's not there. It's not valid. John Tortorella spoke after the game the other night when Braden McNabb was kicked out of the game, and sure. he addressed it. He said, "Look at the Coughlin hit." He addressed it.
Yep.
The next day, there was a hearing scheduled for Braden McNabb. And John Tortorella spoke to the media. He was not asked about it, but he did speak to the media. Nobody asked him about it. So he wasn't hiding from that conversation. He just wasn't asked about it. The next day, he was met with the media in Anaheim prior to Game 6. And that was after Braden McNabb had been handed the one-game suspension. He did speak to the media. So the idea that John Tortorella wasn't going to talk after the game last night because he was upset or the organization was upset about Braden McNabb doesn't wash. And I'm disappointed. I'm a little ticked off at some of the narrative and then some of the commentary from different people like on their high horse about this. Like John Tortorella, there's an obligation. The coach should talk after the game. Mm-hmm. You're right.
Yeah.
And we have a job as in my past experience as a media member. You have a job, and talking to the head coach is an important part of that. But the different narratives, there's some people on their high horse here, throwing some stuff out. And I agree that Torts and the head coaches should talk after the game. Yeah. I'm not disputing that. But some of the different tone of it, being a little high and mighty on it, looking at it from a position of just it rubs me the wrong way, and I like the high horse thing, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm always thinking, no, I'm not going to say it. That'll get me in trouble. I'm not going to say it, but I just
restraint.
There's the moment that it happened last night, and it wasn't beneficial to the media, and I admit that.
Yeah.
The opportunity here is for the Vegas Golden Knights to appeal, and I have not been told whether that will happen or not. Losing, forfeiting a second-round pick, that's extreme.
Yeah,
that's big time. I'm surprised. I'm not sure. I wasn't shocked at the fine. Was not. I'm really. I was. Didn't see the forfeiture of a second round pick coming. Right. I would, without knowing anything, I would highly assume that the Golden Knights would appeal. Or will appeal. We won't know that obviously for a couple of days. The team didn't practice today, so wasn't able to connect with anybody on that. But given the stakes of a second round pick and what goes into that, that I would expect that process to play out.
Yeah, I would too, and obviously it's kind of speculation at this point. But to your point, a second round pick is it's a commodity, right? It is a massive piece within your organization. It's a building block for the future. So I would expect that too. I didn't read a ton, to be completely honest with you, on reactions. I did see the idea floated out there about the Braden McNabb suspension connection. That didn't really make any sense to me, because if you want to make a statement, if you want to do something in that situation, you probably make the statement after Game 5, not after Game 6, when you've met with the media 3 other times.
Yeah.
Between
it doesn't wash.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense, right? It just doesn't make any sense. So to that end, that is a narrative that doesn't really wash for me. And I wasn't in Anaheim. I wasn't there. I didn't see kind of how things went down. So I'm not going to get too in the weeds of the reasons or what the reasons might or could have been. Like you said, you want to hear from coaches after games.
Yes.
Especially after a win. Especially after a series win that punches your ticket to the Western Conference Final.
And I don't know why Torts didn't talk.
Yeah, me neither, right? And that's the thing, right? we don't really have that information. I wasn't there, you weren't there. Like, we don't know. But again,
I was expecting a fine. I assumed that that would happen. We'll see where it goes from there. I'm kind of proud of myself right now
for not going scorched earth.
Yeah, because I wanted to. I had a little bit of
is it because
a script
is it
in my
because
head.
you're in such a
And I was going to go down that path, and I was not calling anybody out. I was not.
Yeah.
But I was going to allude to it.
You were going to let everyone fill in the blanks.
Yeah. But I was.
Okay.
I would not call it that. And I am absolutely on board with the idea that reporters and media members have a job to do, and talking to a coach is part of that. But just some of the comments rub me the wrong way, and I have sensitive skin, and sandpaper doesn't feel good on my skin.
You know what's fun? Like, not engaging on social media all that much.
Yeah, well, you always do it.
No. There has been a concerted effort on my part to pull back in different situations and on certain topics, and it's been great. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, I don't get involved with it, but I saw the reporting, and then some of the narrative of some of the media in Canada, in the United States, and locally, and some of it didn't quite. Some of it didn't sit well with me at all. But I'm going to be just sit back and the avenue that the National Hockey League opened up to the Vegas Golden Knights. Like, it wasn't like this is happening. You're fine. We're taking the second round pick. You better not do that again. Mm-hmm. They did. They put the punishment in place, but said you can appeal.
Sure.
And we'll hold the appeal early next week before the start of the playoffs, and we'll get your side of it. So I think that, like, before we rush to judgment, like this massive penalty, like, keep in mind the National Hockey League is allowing the Golden Knights to present their case on why that occurred last night, and and that tells me, like, if I was ever gonna guess, I would say the fine stays and the second round pick is reinstated. That's sort of my prediction of it, but I don't know exactly how it'll play down. But from my vantage point, with my head bopping, my shoulders rolling, night of the Roxbury, I'm feeling good. I can see that taking place.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if it was going to be a scenario where there's not a chance, there's not a hope, there's not an ability to explain why it happened or what happened or whatever the case may be, and an opportunity to maybe get that appeal in for the second round pick, like, then there's no opportunity there in front of you. So yeah, I'm with you. I think when all is said and done, again, depending on what the Golden Knights do, whether or not they do decide to appeal, and again, speculating about it, I think they will. I agree. I think the fine sticks, the second round pick is reinstated, and we move on, and hopefully this is the last we have to talk about this.
I just wanted to say that for its own specific time, and look, I've seen almost everything happen in this game. At the rink, from the desk, all kinds of different happenings between players and media. I've seen players go after media members, yelling and screaming, coaches with the media. Like, I've seen it all, and I've seen coaches not talk after the game. I've seen players not talk after the game, and the league deals with it. It happens. The league has stepped in here, and we'll see what the response is from the Vegas Golden Knights going forward, and whether or not the fine comes off the table, whether the draft pick is reinstated, or whether the punishment stays in place. One of the funniest ones. We have a little bit of time here. I'll tell you this story. Yeah. Back in Toronto, it was a series between Buffalo and the Leafs, and Damian Cox he's a rather he draws emotion from people as a columnist back in the Toronto Star days, and you either love Damian or you hated Damian, but you read his column. The players read his column. The coaches read his column. Everybody, the media read Damo Spin's column. Anyway, so he writes this scathing story piece on Ty Domi. Okay. Scathing. And my buddy was the equipment manager. He takes the article and puts it in Ty's stall just to make sure that Ty sees it. And those two had it out in just absolute spectacular fashion, like fireworks, like the language you could not run on any type of broadcast. And Ty gave it to Damian, and Damian gave it right back to him. And I was relatively young, new into the business at that point on the National Hockey League level. And I couldn't imagine yelling at a player like Damian did. And it was pretty cool. And I'm like, why is Ty so fired up about this? He would eventually find out about it, but how did he know about it so fast? Well, Smitty put the article in his locker room, and I was trying to do an interview outside the room with Chris King of the Toronto Maple Leafs, now one of the senior members of hockey operations with the National Hockey League, and we stopped and we poked our head around like, ooh, what's going on there? I thought they were going to fight. I thought that, and nothing came of that. So these types of things do bubble up from time to time between the media and the players and the organizations. So we'll see where it goes, but it'll be dealt with, and then we'll get back to playing hockey. And why I didn't want to deal with this earlier on in the show was because I didn't want it to take away from our conversation about a really cool thing that the Vegas Golden Knights are going to the Western Conference Final for the 5th time in 9 years. And think about that. I just talked about Toronto, where they are right now. Where they were knocking on the door before, and they haven't been to a final since 1967. The Golden Knights win the next round. They're in 3 finals in 9 years. It's incredible what we've got going on, and I didn't want last night to take away from celebrating the Vegas Golden Knights going to the Western Conference Final.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that it was the right place to put it on in the show, and again, now that it's done, it's over with. We don't have to talk about it again. Good deal.
We'll see. We'll deal with it when the National Hockey League has its final decision regarding that situation. We will start, by the way, in Denver on Wednesday, Friday for that series. The Buffalo Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens are going to play Game 6 tomorrow night in Montreal. The Canadiens can wrap up that series with a victory and win it 4-2. Buffalo wins, they'll go to Game 7. So if Montreal wins tomorrow, the Eastern Final starts on Tuesday. If Buffalo wins tomorrow, the Eastern Final starts on Thursday. So that's a little fluid right now.
Yeah,
but no Game 7 for us. No Game 7 for us tomorrow. No. Enjoy your weekend.
I am. I'm gonna have a blast over the weekend, and I'm gonna come back refreshed, and it's gonna be fantastic. And we're going to the Western Conference Final, baby.
Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche are renewing acquaintances. The top seed division winner from the Pacific and the top seed division winner and President's Trophy winning team from the Central in the Colorado Avalanche. Storylines on both sides. Health for Vegas will be something that we'll talk about on Monday on the Vegas Golden Knights Insider Show. This is Fox Sports Las Vegas.